What's up, party people? Wow, wow. Hey, what's up? What's up? What? That? Okay. That's so freaking. It's just dumb. Chris, that's like 30 years ago. Okay. Okay. Hey, look it. It's a mystery what I'm going to talk about today, but I think you're going to love it. We're going to find out. We'll find out. So, hey, welcome to Lighting Issues with your host, the Bookaholic. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I am a big fan of mysteries. Like, if you could combine a few different things together into the ultimate book for me, it would be like fantasy with a little bit of mystery and a little bit of thriller. So, like, you feel like, I'm going to need a cardiologist because this is pretty intense. And what's going on here? Who did that? And then, there's a freaking unicorn. Something like that. Do you see what I'm saying? I see what I'm saying. Okay, so here's what I'm going to look at some classic mystery books that probably some of you are familiar with. I've read a lot of these and I've not read a lot of these. So you'll get what I'm saying. What you talking about? It's a mystery. Okay, here we go. One of these days, I will say this again, just for clarity's sake. I do not dye my hair. Okay, so I know the beard, and this actually is a beard. These 4 pieces of hair count as a beard. Okay, the beard and the mustache, it is there, even though they're like see-through practically. Look, the truth, I don't know why. I don't know why my hair is flourishing here and not flourishing here. It's like one or the other, right? Hey, P.S. by the way, I'm going to do my best to actually look at the camera where I'm supposed to look. So if you find yourself like, what, is he having a stroke? Where's he looking? It's just because I'm probably staring at myself at the camera instead of looking at you. I'm looking at you now, okay? Here's looking at you, kid. All right. Here we go. I'm gonna start right now. I'm gonna start. No more dilly dallying and no more dilly dallies. No more dilly bars for you. Here's the first. Kathy writes. Dum dum. All right. I really like this author, and the television series rather is based on her books, her series. Okay, so if you've seen the television show Bones, these are the books that it's based on. And obviously, because the series was so long and, obviously Kathy's I think she's still writing. Sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't. So Monday morning, not MORNING, but MOUR. Do you get it? Like morning sad. Now, I've read a lot of Kathy's books, and I do like it. So Tempe is the primary protagonist, and Tempe Brennan, she solves these crimes. It's pretty awesome. She has this expertise in the medical arena, examining bones, and I thought to myself partly, like, how can you make an awesome series based on somebody whose job seems to be so, in a way, like, I don't know, ultimately, small in the grand scheme of an investigative study, but it works so well. It's fantastic. I love that stuff. She's going to find some bones. She's got to do, or somebody's going to find some bones. She comes in, does some investigating. We find out the whodunits, and it's pretty awesome. So that's a great, little mystery series. And I usually like to read them in order. So, partly just because you find out some of the relational drama and all that, but I do think most of these authors probably create their series in a way that anyone could pick up at any time and jump in. You're going to miss out a few things, but oftentimes if it's important, they make a nod to it in earlier things that they've solved. I've not read, I don't even know how to say this person's name, Strega, and this is Andrew Vachis. That's the best I got. So Vintage Crime, put this sucker out. Andrew Vach's implacable private eye has a new client, Strega. She wants Burke to find an obscene photograph, and that search will take him into the ocean that flows just beneath the city, an ocean whose currents are flesh and money. This probably is naughty. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a at least R- rating. PG-13 plus. It's a place that Burke can visit only at the risk of his sanity and his life. What? That's crazy! Alright, so but between the power of Strega and his own senses of justice, there is no turning back. Well, hell no. Of course there's not. How are you going to solve that crime if you're turning back? You can't turn back. That's a lot of cleavage going on there. I apologize for holding this up to you. I don't think that's going to be something I read anytime soon. Seriously, though, is this him? He looks badass. Look at him. He's got his eye patch there. Dead and gone. That's another one of his. And then Only Child. It's been years since Burke has been home, since he's seen his family and worked in the underbelly of New York City. New York City does have an underbelly. It also has a regular belly. I've never read Emily Griffin's because her name's not Emily Griffin's. Son of a Emily Griffiths. Again, I'm just patiently endure me for a second here. Like there, I mean, okay. But see, look at the stupid light. Okay, Emily Griffiths, The Crossing Place. So obviously, this is about crosswalkers. The Crossing Places. Forensic archaeologist Ruth Galloway, female protagonist, digging that idea, here we go, is in her late 30s. Okay, she's seasoned. I'm older than that, so it's not an old person joke. She lives happily with her cats. Okay, now it's getting weird. In a remote area near Norfolk land that was sacred to its Iron Age inhabitants. Are they still there? And not quite Earth, not quite sea. So quicksand? But her routine is harshly upended when a child's bones, dear Lord, are found in the desolate beach. Detective Chief Inspector Nelson calls Ruth for help, believing the bones to be the remains of Lucy Downey. Okay. I mean, we watch this kind of stuff all the time, especially my wife loves her BBC. So I have a few books by Emily Griffins, and it's not Griffins. Emily Griffiths. Emily Griffiths. This is her in the back. Emily. So she's clearly not a griffin. She's the author of the Ruth Galloway and Magic Men mystery series. Not to be confused with Magic Mike. Sue Grafton. A is for Alibi. You've probably maybe read this. The Alphabet Mystery Series, The Murders. It's a Kinsley Milhone novel. A is for Alibi. The thing about this is unfortunately, she just passed away, I don't know, a couple years ago now, Sue Grafton. And I really enjoyed the series. The parts that I've read, I mean, at least she's in the Santa Barbara area, if I recall, and she's a likable protagonist, and it's kind of a cool little mystery series. If I recall, that A is for Alibi, it was her first book, obviously, because, the alphabet. And I think I figured out the whodunit, scenario earlier than later, but that to me doesn't bother me too much because obviously as the series gets rolling, she finds her legs fully, and it's a phenomenal first novel in that series. But it's kind of sad because she passed away before the Z would come out. Z is for I don't know, Zenith. No, that's an X for zebra. But I found it to be very beautiful that her family said, as far as we're concerned, the alphabet ends with Y. And that's kind of special and sweet. I like her as a writer. I'll definitely read her whole series. Island Murders. I think I have a couple of these. Wanda Canada. I know nothing about Wanda Canada. This is kind of cool, though. I found this probably at a thrift store, and it was signed. Okay, Figure 8 Island is not what you'd call a sleepy little hamlet. Home to million-dollar homes and wealth, the island near Wilmington, North Carolina, is the place to live and vacation for South's privileged class. So obviously, I'm very privileged as well with the amount of money that I have. That's a joke, because, whoop-hoa. Contractor Carol Davenport doesn't party with the jet setters. She builds houses for them. I don't know if this is my cup of tea. We'll see. Here's another one. I do like this guy. When I look at his picture, I think to myself, he's young, but he's not. He's got to be an old man now, like me. His name's Ian Rankin. This is going to sound weird. My dad loves his stuff. In fact, the only reason I started reading this probably was because my dad was raving about Ian Rankin. And Rebus, that series, there's a PBS series or so that's up and available, that's enjoyable. I personally usually like reading the books before watching the series, but that's just kind of me. Knots and Crosses, I think there's just truckloads of them. And for a while, I think he was playing with the idea of not continuing with Inspector Rebus. I mean, he's got a truckload of the books. I mean, just like... Okay, so, there are tons of them, and I think they're all kind of uniquely standalones, but we'll make nods to previous stories and, cases, but I do enjoy his writing, so if you've read Ian Rankin, you probably know he's awesome. Here's just another one, The Flood, which I assume is about Noah. Hey, look at Wanda Sykes. No, not Wanda Sykes, Wanda Canada, okay. So yeah, I had a couple of these. This one's Cape Fear Murders. Dare I do it? Should I do this again? Like, if I read this again, I'm going to be like, what? Contractor? Staying out of trouble isn't a challenge except when your Italian ex-father-in-law is involved with organized crime. That would make it difficult, let's be honest. The man in your life is a former FBI agent and you have a penchant for finding dead bodies? What? Okay, now this one sounds better. I'm not really sure I'm interested in the whole, let's build a house for these rich people one. But this one could work. We'll see. Hello. Okay, so here's the big thing. Magpie... Oh, I must have picked this up at a thrift store. Hello. Let's pretend it's not here. So, Magpie Murders, Anthony Horowitz. I'm loving that series on PBS. I think it's... this book all feels good anyways. I have started this a couple times. Here's the truth. I think I got confused at one point, and I thought, let me go to something different real quick. Just because it's a story kind of within a story, and the two are interweaving a little bit with each other, and I don't know if I have the mental brain power for this right this second. But again, I kind of heard about this from my pops, who's super into this. Basically, if it's BBC, my dad, my wife, these folks in my life, they're like all in. So if basically the writer has a British accent, if the characters are speaking with an English accent, then they love it. So I do think that I'm gonna love this book because the series is wonderful. So I might give this another whirl, and there's a number of other books that he's put up. Okay, let's move on, Chris. Quit telling us the life story of everything. Word is murder. Murder. And Moonflower Murders. So, obviously, Horowitz is kicking out some goodies. Then there's, of course, the classic, the mother of all mystery, Agatha Christie. I think when I was younger, I was exposed to The Cracked Mirror. I think that Elizabeth Taylor was in that movie, and I don't know if that's exactly on, but I think it was. Went to the movie theater, and then, got my hand on some of her mysteries, and I really enjoyed it. She's such a unique and interesting character, I think, Agatha Christie. Of course, Miss Marple, and my wife is in love with all of the Miss Marples, and she's got her favorite one, and all the reasons why and stuff. But when you're reading this, or here we go, let's try to say this, Hercule Poirot. What? It's amazing that character is so popular since nobody can say his name properly. And you're like, Chris, I can. You can't. I don't know. I didn't show you this, but the Kathy Reichs. I have tons of her books. Two Nights. Chris, quit going backwards. Just go forwards. All right, chillax. I dig Alexander McCall Smith. Now, I've read a ton of the Number One Ladies Detective Agency, but he's got all these other little side books as well that are very enjoyable. Again, it's just me and the lighting issues. Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain. All right, so the Sunday Philosophy Club. I think I read one of these in this series. It was pretty funny. It's enjoyable. I just like the way that he writes. And this is the interesting thing about Alexander McCall Smith, especially the Number One Ladies Detective Agency. A lot of times the mysteries, they're not based on some sort of high intense, brutal crime. It's really just an exploration in the beauty of a mystery and solving that mystery. And just it can be something as simple as a typist or a secretary. I just like the genre. So P.G. Wodehouse, Jeeves, of course, How Right You Are, Jeeves, and Full Moon. I'm trying to figure out where to start with Wodehouse. Now, was it Wallace and Jeeves that had Hugh, Laurie, and I forgot the other person, but they put it onto, like a PBC series, miniseries, or maybe it was a multi-season series. I think it was. There's another author that's really fascinating to me, Joe Nesbo. I've enjoyed some of his books. He's got tons of books that are out. He's the author of The Bat. Here's one called Police. I mean, look at him. He's like, what's up, yo? Come on, Tommy Hilfiger, sponsor me. I like this guy's writing a lot. And his protagonist is named Harry Hole. Again, we're back to juvenile junior high Chris. Harry Hole. We're almost done. See, this is the problem. Here it is. Number one ladies detective agency. Okay? I have tons of them. There's so many books in that series. Hey, Chris, could you show me more books out of order? Yeah, I can, but I'm not gonna. Okay? Just 2 authors left. I'll just show you a couple. I love Paul Duiron. And this is a book, The Precipice. Here's another book, Massacre Pond. I'm a big fan of this guy's writing, and sometimes I see these tags about, like, name a wintry book. I'm telling you, read Paul Duiron during the winter, and you're going to feel every little bit of a snowstorm and the intensity of the cold, because that boy knows how to write some cold. We have this game warden, Mike Bowditch, and, he's got a pass, and he's kind of, he's a little broken. He's a little bit of a hot mess sometimes, but you kind of watch him grow, and the stories I just love him. I think Bowditch is such a cool protagonist, and it's a world that most people are not familiar with. So, just kind of that authentic police work that takes place, when it comes to people in the arena of the great wilderness who are hunting and fishing and doing things illegally, and the kind of middle of nowhere scenarios. And I like that world. So if I recall, he's in a variety of places in Maine and in the great wilderness. Poacher's Son is another one of his books. But, for me, Paul Duiron always works. So if I'm looking for a nice, break in the regular fare of, police investigations and, traditional mystery stories, this takes a mystery and it kind of brings it about in a new place and a new feel, and I absolutely love it. It's so awesome. And then last but not least is just sentimental reasons. For a million reasons, Dick Francis has been one of my all-time favorite mystery writers. I love his stuff. He's passed away for a while now. Now his son, Felix Francis, writes, kind of in the same world, and takes, that family heritage of writing to another level. And I am a big fan of Dick Francis. And the funny thing is that as a kid, I grew up in the Dakotas, and it's not like horse racing was regular, weekend activities. And I wasn't following the great, horse races and making the bets and all that stuff. I just loved the way that Dick Francis wrote a mystery, and it was kind of again, I'm always interested in being placed in a world I'm not familiar with, which is probably why I like fantasy a lot. But, I'm brought into an arena that is very unique for me, and I'm learning a little bit as I go. And that's kind of the thing with Dick Francis and his writing, was that whatever the scenario was, you learned a little bit about the job that was at hand and what the requirements and expectations were. And the mysteries are fairly intense. And even for a kid who had never been to horse races and who had really very little experience with taking care of and managing farm animals, and specifically horses, you'd think there's nothing here that would connect. And yet I ate those books up like crazy when I was a kid. I have such fond memories of just going to used bookstores and buying a whole bunch of Dick Francis books. For me, I think partly the reason I like mysteries are so much is that it's just been such a big place in our family, and it continues to be. So maybe you're a big mystery lover. I'll talk about some more mysteries later. I love mysteries that are international mysteries, like you're in a different country completely, and the way that they process things, it's so fascinating to me. Anyway, so what do you love? Well, what's some great mystery books that you love, and authors that you love, or series that you love? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, just, like and subscribe and all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of places you can get involved. I'm a part of a number of Discords, and you can check that out. And then also, there's the Amazon wish list, and there's the Patreon, and there's the this and the that. And you know what to do. You probably know what to do better than I do. So thanks for being a part of the video. I hope you know that I'm grateful that you're taking time out of your day to check these out. I hope you like it. I'll try to get a little bit better every time, but in a lot of ways, this is just a guy who likes books. So if you like books and you love hanging out with people who like books, you're in the right place. So I love this stuff, and I hope you do too.